Hi! It's time to wrap up Ruby's rebalance in a neat, red, fiery, explosive bow, with blackjack and hookers. You've got a fireworks show to attend, so let's hop to it. Enjoy!
It'll hold.
We're not gonna make it.
We'll make it.
Pull up! Pull up! You did that on purpose, didn't you?
Okay, I think we're good now. I think she's seen better days, Chief. There was no reason to... Hey, we can see some blue down there. Nice to have that detail added. Or was it already a thing? I can't say that I remember.
We need to get to the bridge. From there, we can use the captain's neural implants to initiate an overload of the ship's fusion engines. The explosion should damage enough systems below it to destroy the ring.
Sounds pretty straightforward. Ah, here's a shotgun. Now we can make use of these shells back here. This way is broken, so we'll have to find another way around. Oh, and it appears that we've got company. Well, so long as we abscond from this corridor, it won't become our problem. Yeah, there's always more stuff to kill up ahead. Perhaps a nade will take care of things adequately down there. Yeah, okay, let's go. Now, this blast door is not normally open. That much I remember because the flood come busting through the door right in front of us. I wonder if we can lose some on the sentinels. Hey, knock knock. Seems that worked, although we've sustained a couple of injuries. A beautiful stick. That was delightfully destructive. But it appears that I'm out of grenades now. There are even more shells right here. Is that everybody? I'm hearing floody noises around the corner. There's a decent amount of them. Not too much to handle. But let's go looking around for anything we might have missed. Grenade and... well, I suppose I'll take those shells. We've got more than enough to work with. So I'm not particularly concerned about being tremendously conservative. It sounds like there are even more flood up ahead, as if that swarm of pop-ups weren't an indication. Did I just see that one backing up? It looks like there might be some ultras out here. They're making a lot of noises. Well, there's health across the way, so I'll sneak over to that at least. Yeah, those are definitely ultras. Have we come across flood like this before? Maybe very sparsely. I remember seeing ODST combat forms during that optional encounter in level 8. I'm not sure what's in the cafeteria, though. Hi there. Excuse me, I was just headed back into this hallway. They seem a bit smarter than the average combat form. I suppose it's to be expected. Now that this left side is clear, we can get a peek into the cafeteria safely. Nice stick. I bopped a spec obsolete right on the dome. Fuel rod, my beloved. Let's see, where are we headed? Oh, there are more. Nothing on the motion tracker, so they must be stealthies. Well, since my eyesight sucks, never has there been a better use for the fuel rod cannon. I've still got a decent amount of ammo for it too. But of course, it works just as well as a whacking stick.
The bridge. We made it. Let's get to work.
There should just be some grunts in here, then we should be good to go.
We need you to upload me into the control systems. The terminal is located next to the main view screen. I leave home for a few days and look what happens. This won't take long. There. That should give us enough time to put some distance between ourselves and Halo before the detonation.
I'm afraid that's out of the question, really.
Oh, hell.
Ridiculous! That you would imbue a warship's AI with such a wealth of knowledge? Weren't you worried it might be captured? Or destroyed?
He's in my data arrays, a local tab.
You can't imagine how exciting this is! To have a record of all of our lost time! Human history, is it? Fascinating. Oh, how I will enjoy every moment of its categorization! To think that you would destroy this installation as well as this record! I am shocked. Almost too shocked for words.
He stopped the self-destruct sequence.
Why do you continue to fight us, Reclaimer? You cannot win! Give us the construct, and I will endeavor to make your death relatively painless and...
At least I still have control over the comm channels.
Where is he?
I'm detecting taps throughout the ship. Sentinels, most likely. As for the monitor, he's in engineering. He must be trying to take the core offline. Even if I could get the countdown restarted, I don't know what to do.
How much firepower would you need to crack one of the engine shields?
Not much. A well-placed grenade, perhaps, but why? Okay, I'm coming with you. Chief, Sentinels!
Bye, Sentinels. And hello there, Shotgun.
The ship was heavily damaged when it crashed. Head to the cryo chamber. We should be able to get to the engine room through there.
This area is not normally open. Well, thanks, Ruby. I really appreciate that. Never mind me, friend. You don't be my problem, and I won't be your problem. I think we gotta go this way now. Ah, the fire unstealthed me. But it doesn't seem anybody has noticed me. Maybe there's another way to go back this way. And only the flood come busting out of this door, and we fight our way through to the other room. This all feels so much more open now. Surely Ruby made it more open, right? It's not just my memory. Hi there, Hunter. Really, a dance right now? Very well, if you insist, but good luck keeping up. As expected. Ah, there's an overshield at the end of the hallway. That was a very lovely stick. Ouch. I lived. What are you gonna do about it? Nothing, that's what. But is there any health around? No. Pity about my health. But what can we do? Let's move on. We'll surely find some more later. Hi. Ugh. What a bunch of gross sounds. What? Open sesame. Thank you. It's like I swung my weapon between the door. Bunch of pop-ums. I'd rather not waste ammo on you guys. Please leave me alone. And there's some flying toasters to the right from the sound of it. Easy work with the fuel rod cannon. And just a touch of buckshot. This definitely feels different. We're on the far side of where we normally go. There's a health pack. Normally we head into this room and there are a bunch of Flood and Sentinels fighting, but I'm good. I'm just gonna go for that health pack, if y'all don't mind. Excuse me, carrier. I don't intend to inconvenience you. Things sure are picking up. The noise is picking up. And my flashlight's out. Oh, that's the worst timing. I'm trying to do a jump here. Okay, I mean, I guess that wasn't too hard. Now that we're up here, we gotta get to the end of that hallway. Hey, a sniper rifle. It's empty. I don't care that much. In fact, I've got a fuel rod cannon. And most of the overshield left. Tiger spinnies, thank you for the shotgun ammo. Let's go. Easy enough. Ouch. Perhaps I spoke too soon. Or not. Victory is mine. I was actually being observant of any grenades on the ground that I saw. Didn't want to set them off with the fuel rod. So those were deliberately placed shots. Seemed to work out well. Oh, my flashlight's out again. That thing lasts a good long while and recharges pretty quickly, to halfway at least. When it goes out, that's pretty inconvenient. Where are all you popcorn crabs coming from? There are too many of you. Oh, hi. Yeah, nope, nuh-uh. Die. Die! Ugh. Of all the things to put in this dark hallway, a zealot is among the most unpleasant of concepts. There's some health. Let's get out of here before the pop-ums take it. Yeah, this area seems relatively safe. Oh, there's a space doggo, a flying engineer. Oh, don't run away, friend. I'm not gonna hurt you. Not yet, anyway. Listen, I'm just gonna blow up the ringleader, okay? You'll be just fine. Pet, 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 pet. It'll be over real quick, I promise. Well, things are looking pretty clear out there by now. Or not. Where did that sentinel come from? Maybe we can chuck some nades from another door in here. Take care of a couple of problems. Ouch. It sounds like we got a hunter. Let's restock our nades in the space pupper room and poke our heads out again. Oh great, now the Flood are here. Where are you guys even coming from? This is one gigantic dead end. Are you swooping in infinitely from behind this locked door? What, is there a gigantic hole in the ground behind these, yeah, what the?
I was here first! I'm the only one left? I didn't mean it! Don't leave me!
Well, anyway, this doesn't seem like the direction to go, so let's keep looking. Yeah, no, they just keep spawning infinitely at the end of this hallway. We gotta head for that open door across the hallway when the coast is more clear. Oh, hi there, shotgun ammo. Oh. Oh, hey, it's one of those guys. The sword and borders. It seemed he was very low on shields as it was. Lucky for me, because I think I was dead otherwise. Our goal is in engineering. I'm gonna head to the armory. Use this sword to bash open the door. Don't question it, there's nothing wrong with that. Hi there, Stealthies, I do remember you.
We've been trying to contact you regarding your course instead.
Ouch, you seemed a bit tougher than I remember, though. Do you have something to say, Parasite? Well, I've got a rocket launcher, so you should shut it. Or as the Arbiter eloquently put it, do not waste my time with talk. Anyway, I don't know what good this active camo will do us, really. We've got a bit of a ways to walk. We should at least be able to restock our health in the engine room.
Engine room located. We're here.
So we gotta get up to the 3rd floor here, and use our rocket launcher to blow up things. And then things will go kaboom, and explode. Not to worry, I've done this plenty. We'll be in and out in a jiffy. Cortana's got a lot of yapping to do, though.
First, we need to pull back the exhaust couplings. That will expose a shaft that leads to the primary fusion drive core.
Yep, and once we blow this one up, we gotta run before enemies show up.
Good! Step 1
Surrender
complete.
to
We have a
constant
straight
defeat,
shot
or I
into the
will be
fusion
forced to
reactor.
take you offline
Use an
permanently.
explosive. I recommend a grenade or rocket. If you run out of explosives, there is an armory station located near the engine room entrance. Analyzing. Fusion reactor number 1 destabilized. Use explosives on the other 3 reactors. That should be enough to trigger a wildcat explosion of the engines.
For some reason, the Sentinels will just despawn. So I like to tap one of these, run to the other side, hit another one. Some Sentinels should show up on that side any time. Yeah, if you were listening, you might have heard them blow up. But by now we're safe on this other side, blowing up more things.
Surrender the construct, and I will endeavor to make the necessary withdrawal as quickly as possible.
There are some floating goods right there. Oh, the Sentinels here are kind of early.
Only 1 more fusion reactor to go.
Oh, where did that hunter come from? What was that, Ruby? This isn't Kaizo Halo.
Step 1 complete.
I'm gonna have to look out for that hunter the next time that I poke that fusion reactor.
I recommend a grenade or rocket. If you run out of explosives, there is an armory station located near the engine room's entrance. Analyzing. Fusion reactor number 1 other 3 reactors. That should be enough to trigger a wildcat explosion of the engines.
Not acceptable, Reclaimer. You must surrender the construct.
Hey, your car insurance is about to expire. Let me help you.
Oh, there are a bunch of ultras right here. I guess Ruby added some more complicated spawns. Oh, lots more complicated spawns. Look at all this stuff. Oh yeah, there's the hunter. He must have come out of that door while I was behind the switch. The terminal must have obstructed my view of the door when he came out that first time.
One more fusion reactor to go.
Anyway, that does it. We're all done here, so we can leave. Catch you later, POA.
That did it. The engine's gone critical. Based on the current rate of decay, we should have 15 minutes to get off the ship. We don't have much time. We should move outside and signal for evac. Accessing schematics. There's a service lift at the top of the engine room. It leads to a Class 7 service corridor that runs along the ship's dorsal structure. Hurry!
Hello there. A whole bunch of nonsense was waiting for us on the elevator. Okay. I thought I saw a grenade blowing up, but it didn't blow up. Weird. Well, the elevator's clear now. I mean, if you don't count all the dead bodies. So, I'm no longer concerned.
Cortana to Echo 419. Come in, Echo 419. Roger, Cortana. En route 555. The Pillar of Autumn's engines are going critical, 𝘯𝘦𝘷𝘦𝘳. Request immediate extraction. Approach the crash site and be ready to pick us up at external access junction 4C as soon as you get my signal. Affirmative. Echo 419 going on station. Things are getting noisy down there. Everything okay? Negative. We have a wildcat destabilization of the ship's fusion core. The engines must have sustained more damage than we thought.
Analyze. You have 5 minutes before the fusion drives detonate. We need to evac now. Activating final countdown timer. 3, 2, the engines will detonate. The explosion will generate a temperature of almost 180 degrees. Don't be here when it blows.
Look at those physics. Thanks, Halo. Appreciate that. Actually, we have the carrier changes to thank for that. Normally you ram into a carrier and it lands somewhere, lays down, and then blows up. But now Ruby was like, they can blow up standing. They actually feel more like walking landmines now. Makes them a lot more intimidating against vehicles, or when driving vehicles. I appreciate that. It's an element to the Flood's combat tactics. It was kind of missing in the original. Well, thanks to all these tunnels, it appears we can circumvent the sentinels. Oh. Well, I'm just glad I didn't go over that barrier.
Are you looking at this?
Okay. It's all good. We still got time, 4 minutes, before everything blows up. It's not time to panic. I'll tell you when it's time to panic. Just to be safe, though, let's take the shortcut. Oh, hang on a second. An overshield. Just sitting in this hallway. I'm happy to see that. No, carriers. Okay, didn't go quite how I expected. But if it did, I think I would be rather unhappy. So far, so good. We got another 600 meters to go or so. Oh, there are fuel routers up there. And more spec ops down here. Kinda lucky none of those guys threw grenades. They were kinda grenade happy. Of course we're going to stick around. Of course we're going to get revenge for 𝘯𝘦𝘷𝘦.
Wait, stop. This is where 𝘯𝘦𝘷𝘦 is coming to pick us up. Hold position here.
Cortana to Echo 419. 2 Covenant Banshees are approaching on your 6. Evade. Say again, evade. On hit. Mayday. Mayday. What the hell? I can't hold her. I can't hold on.
Echo 419! She's gone. Calculating alternate escape routes. Ship's inventory inventory shows one longsword fighter still docked in Launch Bay 7. If we move now, we can make it.
Alright, now we've got another 1.2 kilometers to go. But there's only one problem. I'm American, so I don't know what a kilometer is. But I do know that Warthog goes or vroom vroom, rather. So let's just drive and see where it takes us.
Up ahead, there's a gap in the trench. At top speed, we should be able to clear it.
And 360. Nailed it. That was pretty good. Oh, hi there, Active Camo. Excuse me, Flood, I need that. I'll take that, thank you very much. Okay, now we can proceed. These combat forms politely did not obstruct us in the slightest.
Move! We need to get aboard now!
No worries, Cortana, we got another 38 seconds or so. Or 36. Or 35. Okay, I'll stop screwing around. I kinda don't want to, the level of destruction around here is pretty. But I guess we'll leave all this beautiful destruction behind.
We're cutting it close!
Here we go.
Come here, you mother... Oh, this is it, baby. Hold me.
What? Huh? What? Really? Really? During the outro? Ruby? Okay, I think my last checkpoint was very close to the ending. Let's go get it again.
That's the ship!
Yeah, here we are.
Move! We need to get aboard now!
Dang, bugs ruining my immersion. I blame you for some reason, screw you. And also you. You couldn't possibly be at fault, but I'm now upsetty spaghetti, so you get the whacking stick. Okay, I'll speed this up, to a point.
Oh, this is it. Hold me.
Shut them down, we'll need them later. Fancy a look?
Did anyone else make it?
Scanning. Just dust and echoes. We're all that's left. We did what we had to do. For Earth. An entire Covenant armada obliterated, and the Flood. We had no choice. Halo. It's finished.
No. I think we're just getting started.
And that wraps up this series. Huzzah! This was a nice rendition of the 𝘯𝘦. It's still an easy level, but it surprised me in a couple of places. I don't remember that troublesome hunter coming out of that door in the original, but the Ultra Elite and ODST combat forms are certainly new, and facing a bunch of them along the way made things more interesting. It's odd that we saw so many Ultra Elite combat forms at this particular point, and not so many Ultras throughout this campaign. It's legendary. I would have sprinkled some such elites throughout the rest of the campaign in places. My immersion, you know? Looking back on the rest of this campaign, we ended it off with 8 deaths, or 10 if you count the glitch on level 4, or the reset to checkpoint on level 6, when the engineer died. The first death was to a fuel rod grunt back on level 3. We died twice to hunters back on level 4, and once again on level 5 while trying out the flamethrower on that bridge near the control room. Carriers killed me on level 7, thanks for that. Another carrier death on level 8 outside the underground door. What happened on level 9 probably counts as me doing myself in for the most part, though technically it was the second swing on a combat form's melee that dealt the finishing blow, I think. And level 10 hit me with a Kaizo Hunter. So, mostly deaths to memes. Imagine dying to hunters and carriers in CE. Couldn't be me. There were lots of close calls along the way too. I think I did pretty well keeping myself in good health, playing cautiously when it was low or when I was threatened. My deaths generally felt like they were my fault. It was adequately punishing when I was hit. I didn't feel like I had free reign to be up in the enemy's faces all the time, but there were plenty of opportunities to be aggressive, and I always felt like I had strategic options for approaching one section or another. The balance is excellent. I've always loved about Halo 1 the dynamic between the recharging shields and the exhaustible health. That was one of my biggest gripes with 2 and 3. Disregarding how 2 plays on Legendary, because that's, you know, its own thing. The shield gave us a thin layer of defense to work with no matter what, while health determined how risky we could be. Health helped us gauge how many hits we could take after the shield went down. It always puzzled me how little I saw this sort of system going forward. It is great potential Combat Evolved took to great lengths, and Ruby was clearly attentive to this mechanic when he rebalanced the sandbox. It's why I've come back to Combat Evolved the most between the Halo games. Frankly, it's the dynamic I'm looking forward to the most in his rebalance of Halo 2, which to my understanding is nearing completion. There's a lot to talk about as it is, so I'll leave it there on the general mechanics because the shield health dynamic was kind of the most important thing to me. I like the sandbox quite a bit, and I think my experience on this playthrough is a testament to its strength. My only real gripe is with flamethrowers not doing more damage against hunters. That kinda irks me. But Ruby's changes were well reasoned and fully articulated on his channel. I've linked it in the description of this video along with the mod. If you want to know more about what exactly he changed in his own words, I'd encourage you to go check it out for yourself. He's got a video called, Halo Rebalanced, the design of a legendary FPS. It's over an hour long and covers all sorts of things. Generalities aside, I'm gonna try to recall something negative about each mission, or, at least, I want to put questions out there about how things were done, and wonder how they could have been approached differently or might have been done better. There are some double-edged changes in here. Questioning them is meant to weigh the pros and cons. The best ideas are tempered by the rigors of critique and debate, and emerge victorious, or at least with strong rationale. I understand you have to pursue a specific vision at times, even taking the cons into account. Furthermore, these points are surely arguable, and look, I don't expect Ruby to actually see this or anything, I just want to put my thoughts out there. This is my playthrough after all. So, Level 1, the Pillar of Autumn. In retrospect, as I've mentioned on a couple of past missions, the biggest issue I take with it is that it's oversaturated with weapon variety. It importantly accomplishes a few things. One, you convey to the player, hey, I've added secrets, be on the lookout for them. And each of the secret weapons added to the Pillar of Autumn is found in its own unique and fitting way, so there's even variety to the secrets. Two, you give the player a small taste of what's in the broader sandbox, on a small level, where the player can't enjoy them for too long, and can test them in a low-pressure environment. And 3, you add some more identity to what's effectively the tutorial level of CE. However, it feels as though when they debut later, like the flamethrower in the snowy level 5, or the energy sword in the cramped hallways on level 4, I've potentially already seen it. As they say, you only get one chance at a first impression. The amount and variety of weapons secreted away on level 1 denies us the best possible first impressions later, spoils us on certain surprises. Level 4 happened to be the first place I saw the energy sword in this playthrough, and going through the cartographer with it was tons of fun. I got to play like a stealth elite between the sword and the active camo there. I can't help but wonder if the player who ran into it on level 1 first feels the sequence on level 4 is quite as memorable. How might I have done it differently? Well, we normally only get to see frag nades near the end of this level. Having some stockpiles of those around instead of the rocket launcher or fuel rod cannon, for instance, would still provide us an explosive weapon as a secret, without letting us try a future weapon, so to speak, on this one. I like the addition of the rocket launcher though, that fits really nicely in the first level's tight corridors. I would have tried to centralize where its ammo is though, because carrying it around for so long feels pretty limiting. You get to use the flamethrower for a while, you use up its ammo, and then you drop it. Rocket boxes are scattered all over the level, so you're more often likely to be carrying it around to whack stuff over the head with. You know, that's an idea that worked really well over in level 6 with its secret rocket launcher. If it weren't such a secretive rocket launcher, the one on level 6, that might have been the best place to introduce this concept, fighting in melee with its enhanced damage. As for the fuel rod cannon, perhaps it could have made its debut on level 3. It wasn't my first impression, but for the player who didn't find that switch at the bridge and unlock the door to find the grunt carrying one, blowing up wave after wave of Covenant at the gravity lift on level 3 with a fuel rod cannon was deeply satisfying. I think I would have preferred that to be my first impression, my first memory, with the fuel rod cannon in this mod. Introducing the shotgun alone without the flamethrower is probably a better example. Wasn't it intended to be introduced earlier in earlier versions of Combat Evolved anyway? The shotgun, that is. I remember somebody finding clues of it in the code on an earlier mission or something, like level 2. Whereas the flamethrower was apparently intended by Bungie to be introduced on level 8 of all places? Way too late. Anyway, they're both short-range weapons that work nicely in close quarters. The shotgun's an early secret on level 2 as well, so we potentially get a decent amount of time to play with it before going into level 3 snipey sections. And then we can get toasty with the flamethrower on level 5. There's a lot to consider, isn't there? I'm not looking at level 1 in a vacuum, but it is all about level 1. On to level 2, Halo. I don't like the Scorpion tank secret. Straight up. I didn't go activating it in this playthrough, but that's what's rewarded for backtracking to that teleporter activated by the secret switch on the left side of the big light bridge room. You might be wondering why this secret should count. It's rather out of the way, requires a bunch of backtracking, is totally optional, so why does it give me such sad faceries that I feel compelled to remark about it as my negative note for level 2? Well, for starters, consider the whole first impression idea. There were some great changes made to the Scorpion tank, tightening the spread on its main cannon, and especially on its practically useless secondary. Normally, we get to see it for the first time on level 5, taking the fight to concentrated Covenant forces with the Marines. Not if we get it from this secret on level 2. If that were it, it could be considered a mere stylistic difference. Ruby likes to tease things earlier by giving us a small taste, whereas I place more value in novelty and timing. Except that's not quite it. Unlike on level 1, which never quite gives us enough of its secret weapons to be satisfied with them, leaving us craving for more, we get the Scorpion tank via the secret after the first group of Marines, and there are 3 more to save. So we have it for most of the level, not only trivializing all of the combat encounters because tank beats everything, but it also slows down the level due to driving a Scorpion as opposed to a Warthog. Level 2 is supposed to be all about palling around with Marines and killing aliens on a weird but majestic space hula hoop. The tank just makes it more about you, the player. You don't need a gunner on the back, you've got 4 tag-alongs on the side of the tank while you do the heavy lifting with its big-ass cannon, not to mention that spawning a tank in and triggering overkill mode, quote-unquote, for hitting a Forerunner switch is pretty immersion-breaking. This isn't exactly a harmless Easter egg like the Amogus on level 7, or the Coffee Couple on level 8. This gives us a frickin' tank. How would I change it up, though? Well, you do need to give the player either a substantial reward or some amusing Easter egg for backtracking quite that far. Let's say we keep it a secret that gives us something good. There are a few things that would make it worth it if you must backtrack that far for the secret. Hence, I'd probably change up the secret's placement to justify a broader variety of rewards. I like the idea of putting something in the tunnel. Not everybody takes the long way around, so it would remain kind of a secret. But by putting a switch there and triggering something in the light bridge room, the backtracking is removed. Or keeping it simple and putting the secret-related triggers in the light bridge room alone could work too. It depends on what it is, really. What should it trigger, though? Well, there was a cool mechanic on later missions I thought changed things up in an interesting way. Teleportation networks. There are still a couple of Forerunner beacon building things to go to later in the mission, launching fire into the sky and all that. Those seem like perfectly sensible places to add teleporters. There could even have been some inactive ones during the first encounter, which would foreshadow that there's a switch or some way to turn them on later, before we even see the tunnel. The name of the game is incentive, and what incentive is there to get out of the Warthog and go fighting the Covenant on foot? Were teleporters to have been added, we could have had some kind of sniper nest only accessible via teleporter to poke the Covenant from. Sniper rifles are introduced on this mission, not counting the one on level 1, so it would play into that weapon's strengths. Of course, there could also have just been some teleporters to quickly get around a Forerunner complex, enabling the usage of more close-quarters weaponry like the secret shotgun or the assault rifle. And not that the player should be incentivized too strongly or too often to get out of the Warthog on this one. Roadkill is a major part of level 2 after all. Anything but the Scorpion tank. This is a well-reasoned alternative though, is it not? Level 3, Truth and Reconciliation, still has an overwhelming amount of waves to fight, but that's no longer something I take issue with, because the environments where tons of enemy waves show up are chock full of goodies to fight them with. Plasma grenades, fuel rod cannons, needlers, all that stuff. Not to mention the much more capable Marines. It does create another potential issue though. Power weapons may have become too accessible. The original gave us just the sniper rifle, and that was it. There was plenty of sniper rifle ammo throughout the level to continue using it until the end, just about. Ruby's rebalance does not change that, but gives us the fuel rod cannon too. I appreciate its introduction on this level, again not counting its appearance on level 1, because it makes normally tedious sections much more fun, and keeps them from overstaying their welcome. We go from the stealthy, snipey sections to loud, explosive fun, blowing up tons of waves of Covenant. Considering how prevalent fuel rod cannons are though, the oodles of sniper rifle ammo inside the cruiser should probably have been downsized or removed. A bit of crossover around the gravity lift seems like a great idea to me. There are still some sections nice for the sniper rifle inside the ship, but there are also big waves to blow up with explosives. Later on, when we rescue the captain, perhaps the fuel rod should have been the only power weapon we had access to. As nice as it is having access to both kinds of weapons, it might make things a bit too easy, you know? The lower tier weapons are rebalanced pleasantly. I would personally have preferred a reason to keep one such weapon on me more often. On level 4, the Silent Cartographer, maybe the shotgun was out of place on this one entirely. There's shotgun ammo, but only Marines are carrying one as far as I found, which kind of incentivized me to do something silly, and then I wound up peeking behind the curtain as a result. Not something I'd want to encourage, you know? We got to play with shotties on earlier missions, and the sword debuts on this one, again not counting its appearance in a secret on level 1, so perhaps the Marines were better off carrying all ARs. I might suggest a couple of Marines with rocket launchers, but besides being immersion breaking because Bravo 22 is the dropship carrying heavy weapons to us and it arrives later, we have a pretty good idea of how giving Marines rocket launchers is likely to go. Even with special scripting telling them to stay away from everybody else, it probably wouldn't end well. If you must keep the shotgun, perhaps that would have been a better weapon to put up with the active camo in the building above the Marines, instead of the sniper rifle in the secret up there. Over on level 5, Assault on the Control Room, the flamethrower is highly prevalent on this mission, but there are tons of hunters around that it's confusingly poor against. Was that done on purpose to force the player to carry a different weapon to use against the hunters or something? The flamethrower's weakness against hunters is more of a general thing with the mod itself, but this note being about level 5, it's just about how counterintuitive this dynamic is. Never mind that it got me killed that one time I decided not to take the Banshee on the final bridge. What? I don't have a complaint about the Marines? Nah. Their AI will do funny things sometimes. Not your fault. Seeing them drive vehicles around was cool. Level 6, 343 Guilty Spark. The engineering counter seems kind of unfair. Maybe there could have been a couple of engineers in that room if it's possible to make only one of them solve the puzzle when the room is clear. Or maybe there could have been less armed combat forms in there. Or maybe the engineer drops into the room from that hole in the ceiling, pursued by a bunch of infection forms also dropping around the same time, a bit after the player enters the room, so we've got a chance to clean it out somewhat. As is, I feel as though I merely got lucky when I was able to successfully save the engineer. I believe I went on about this after the mission itself, but the switch puzzles might have been kind of redundant. I don't necessarily mind convoluted puzzles on a mission like 343 Guilty Spark, as long as there is a clear reward. Getting the player lost adds some fear factor. Having so many switches though, perhaps some of them could have been cut down. Maybe there were better ways to streamline those. The switches are a minor point of contention compared to the engineer room though. They're interesting, and demand observation from the player. The engineer room on the other hand, you know. On level 7, the library. For all the ways its various encounters surprise us, and how beautiful its destruction is, its new secrets are pretty formulaic. There's always something behind an elevator, always something to the left when we've got to go to the right. There's a good variety of secrets. I like that there's something in seemingly every corner of the library now. It just makes me think, say for instance, the elevator rooms are a bit barren outside of that one secret that's always in exactly the back. And that makes it feel more like the game it is, you know? Maybe there could have been some more corpses strewn about the rest of the room? Look, it's hard to find something bad to talk about on level 7. It's a hell of an improvement over the original. I'm trying, okay? That's all I got for this one. Level 8, 2 Betrayals, has too many active camos in one place. I was easily able to skip some of the level's most interesting encounters. How often is it that there's a giant prolonged AI battle going on between Covenant and Flood? And where else do we face fuel rod cannon toting combat forms head on? In Assault on the Control Room, we had to cross like 5 bridges over the course of the level. 4 if we don't count the one at the end, because we can steal the Banshee. On level 8, we fought across the one underground, and that was pretty much it. So the active camos might have been better in different places. On level 9, Keys, in the puzzle room. If the doors open on their own, or at least the ones that we gotta go through opens up after some fighting, discard this point. If there was a second switch on the lower level that I simply didn't find that does the same thing, also discard this point. If there's a hint that eventually shows up about the switch after you fight enough things, you can maybe discard this point even in that case. But if it actually was essential to find that switch on the upper level in order to proceed, that seems kinda out of the way. I don't mind puzzles, I hope there was a hint for that one if I didn't think to go upstairs. I could see it being a real problem. I know I whined about this at the end of the episode itself, but in retrospect, I guess it's fine that the doors in Key's room didn't open. That last stretch is, to my recollection, one of the hardest sections in the entire campaign, with all those Spec Ops covenant around between us and the Banshee to escape in. The fight in Key's room is already made easier by the added cover objects, so that the Flood don't come beat up the Spec Ops while we ignore everything and leave is fair. Perhaps the happiest compromise might have been to open up those doors with the Flood when most of the Spec Ops were dead. If they didn't open because I decided to ignore that last Spec Ops elite, that's kinda lame. Finally, level 10, the Maw. I guess I harped on it earlier, but I'll reiterate for the sake of rounding out this section. There are too many Ultra Elites. Not because they're tough. I like having tough enemies to fight, and the final level is pretty easy, like I said. But it's just immersion breaking seeing quite that many Ultras when it feels like we didn't see half as many through the rest of the campaign combined. Maybe having some more ODST combat forms would have stood out less to me. It definitely could have done with more of those guys. They seem to have maintained some fighting capabilities, like I saw Ultras backing up and dodging away from grenades and stuff. So it might have been like fighting a squad of Marines to come up against a group of ODST combat forms at some point. Just once in the whole campaign, that would have been nice. And if there was any level to do it on, it would have been the Maw. I mean, I noticed there were a few ODSTs in the engine room while I was blowing stuff up, but you know, that's not like a fight in a hallway or a regular room or something. Hell, what about in the optional cryo chamber where I found that health pack? It seemed like nothing was in there except a carrier and a bunch of pop-ums. Anyway, I guess I've nitpicked enough. I mean, I'm not trying to be nitpicky per se, I'm trying to reflect on the weak points of the experience. Because perfection is not something one can ever achieve. Even the original Combat Evolved, however sacred it is to a whole generation of gamers, is full of things that benefit from the thoughtful touches of passionate devs. It est the repetition in the second half of the campaign, something that was greatly helped by the additional layers of environmental destruction, added optional encounters, improvements made to the Flood as enemies, etc. in this rebalance. I wanted to put a lot of thought into all that because this mod has so much thought and so much heart poured into it. It's worth the consideration. And I suspect it goes to demonstrate the strength of the experience that some of my criticisms were little more than stylistic preferences in places. Ruby, the vision that you pursued wound up truly magnificent. Thank you for making this mod. It is a pleasure to play. It may as well be the definitive way to play Halo CE nowadays. If you ever do see this, then I hope this run brought you some joy too. I sure as heck get a special kind of enjoyment out of folks checking out my stuff, even if they wind up hating it. It's always, interesting. There's one other thing I gotta talk about before we wrap this one up though. You see, I chose this mod at this time because, as I mentioned back in the first episode, there's some news floating around about a Campaign Evolved remake of Halo CE coming out sometime. Allow me to preface my following comments with the appropriate level of gratitude. Thank you, 343, for the Master Chief Collection. I'm happy to be able to enjoy the series on Steam nowadays. Without the MCC and Steam Workshop compatibility and such, we wouldn't be able to enjoy mods like this one, at least not easily. So, I appreciate this platform. I hope it continues to preserve this beloved series for a long time. That said, I have the utmost faith in you to completely bastardize CE in your remake. Far be it from me to accuse 343 of not understanding Halo. They count Bungie holdovers among their members after all, among other things. Rather, they have no respect for what it was. That's what separates the retelling of the original by a passionate fan who cares from a vessel of odious industry parasites with an established track record of, simply put, ideological subversion. To be clear, I'm not trying to be unfair to 343 in comparing a fan-made mod that essentially only expanded on some details of the first game to the duties of the proprietary devs who also need to account for how the universe has expanded. They have many more responsibilities, and that milk is already poured. I don't envy the unfortunate souls left to tidy up the mess. Whatever story adjustments they need to make for how things have changed are, for all intents and purposes, irrelevant to this diatribe. As much as I could complain about those.
You are Forerunner!
The Forerunners have returned.
Campaign Evolved purports to be an official remake. Thus, I must articulate and rationalize my doubts. 343's hypocrisy, the disconnect between their talk of faith to the original and the route they so often go, is irksome indeed. What can one rightly expect, however, when, in the words of Frank O'Connor himself, they hired tourists who, quote-unquote, hate Halo? Frank O'Connor being a community manager and writer in some respects at Bungie, and later the creative director at 343. Some things have changed since then, of course. O'Connor's moved on, 343 Industries goes by Halo Studios now, and we can't forget Microsoft is behind it all, and etc., etc. Never mind that, though. The argument at the time, the context of that statement, was about supposedly hiring people who sought to improve Halo, to make it better. But no, it's about changing Halo fundamentally, disdain for the source material in more ways than I care to list at this juncture. There is, ultimately, a huge difference. Strictly on the subject of gameplay, we've already seen some clumsiness in the demo of Campaign Evolved, hints of inferior AI, the fickle implementation of sprint, careless restructuring of vital terrain elements. I feel quite justified in being cynical. Nevertheless, I would like very much for my sentiments here to age poorly. The world has plenty of garbage in it. Some I happen to be personally responsible for. Maybe even this very video, depending on how you see it, I guess. The point being, we don't need more if it can be helped. When Campaign Evolved comes out, I suppose we'll see. I know that regardless of the results, there are more than likely some passionate devs behind that project as well. Let me be perfectly clear about this, too. I'm not crapping on 343 because I'm loyal to Bungie either, whatever credit they rightly deserve for laying the foundation. My allegiance is to the traditional, to the original vision more than its creators or current stewards. Devs are not always in command of what they produce, you have to keep in mind as well. We've all heard the stories of the nightmarish work environment they've got to deal with in recent years, have we not? So, in all sincerity, I wish them the best of luck, and I hope I've made it abundantly clear that despite my cynicism, I intend to examine it fairly when the time comes, with an open mind. Like I mentioned earlier, there are plenty of issues with Halo CE that could be improved upon in a remake. A remake has potential, even though it's in hands that, by so many metrics, have proven untrustworthy. Whatever does come of the new, though, the old will remain as well. I wanted to look back on the original through a lens like this because it may or may not prove to be the superior way to look back on Halo CE. Halo is wonderful. What makes it Halo must be protected, respected, and preserved for any project that hopes to be faithful to it. That is why I wanted to highlight this mod at this time. Ruby sought earnestly to understand the original vision behind CE. He studied it. He provided strong evidence of that with his presentation about the mod over on his channel, and it shows in the structure of the mod and how it plays. Because he respected that vision in building atop it, he was able to produce something largely successful in capturing the spirit of the original, in my view. Given a bit of grace for the personal touches of any independent modder, that is. And we're blessed to have a lot of passionate modders out there for Halo. There are plenty of less faithful projects that pursue a different vision for fun. Cursed Halo, for one. Or the Havoc mod, which still doesn't necessarily take itself seriously, but is, playable, you know? Scenarios where divergence is understandable, where adherence to the source material is less of a factor, if it is a factor at all. It depends on the creator's intent, and modders naturally have more freedom in that regard. Or, there are other mods that also attempt to be faithful, but go different routes than Ruby did, like SPV3, or Project Spark. Perhaps we should do this again sometime, with one of those mods in play. For now though, I think I've said just about all that I must. I told Psycho I'd hop back on sprite work after finishing up this series, so that's what I plan to do. The next time we see each other, it'll probably be in another Arcanon devlog. I don't intend to go anywhere, it merely might be a while is all. Sprite work takes time. If you'd like to keep in touch in the meantime, I invite you to hang out in my Discord server, which is also linked in the description. Chill environment, busy memes channel, plenty of random clips of this or that posted around. Stop by if you'd like. Otherwise, thanks for watching. I hope you had fun. I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.